What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-techno, and we're back with a track from Stay Up Forever that is the basis of this particular shirt, meaning I have several Stay Up Forever shirts, although a couple of them over the years, like the graphics on the front got worn away to the point where you can't even tell that they're a Stay Up Forever shirt, but the point is, I have a few of them, and this one was released after this particular record came out, which is to say in 2021, Chris, the almighty Chris Liberator, did another collaboration with Darc Marc, a producer slash DJ he's made a couple releases with, and there was a release they did, it was like 10 years earlier, I want to say, and they had a track called Happy Birthday LSD, which was sort of a celebration of acid music, though through the avenue of talking about LSD, which is the, let's say, cognitive equivalent of a wicked acid-techno track, where it feels trippy and wicked and you're not quite sure what's happening, but you know you like it. And then in 2021 they came out with another EP which is given this catchphrase, "System runs you like a machine, acid music has come to set you free," which is what it says right here. And yes, it speaks to the way in which acid music is not only a genre with folks who have sort of a punk rock ethos in the techno world, which I've said it many, many times. As a middle teenager, around the age of 16 or so, when I discovered acid techno, part of what drew me to it instantly is I was already listening to punk rock for a couple years, and the attitude, the wicked character, and the DIY ethos that immediately became clear in the acid techno world was very punk rock. And so it was just like I had found the punk community within the rave world. And indeed, I think that's something that is not only literally true in the fact that a number of, let's say, Godfather and old school acid techno producers and DJs have roots in punk rock bands and going to punk rock shows, but it is stylistically very much that territory. It is very much a direct connection and a thematic connection between acid techno and punk rock. So yes, it's always part of the way I see acid techno, as this underground community of like-minded DIY punks who happen to like having it dance music in the, techno warehouse scene. So in any case, this track speaks to the way with this mantra that repeats again and again, not unlike their Happy Birthday LSD release. But yes, this mantra about how the modern world and its technological systems, its political systems, its social systems, its cultural systems are not only brutal and oppressive and exclusionary and soul-crushing, if you will, but that one of the ways that you can find refuge from that, you can find solace to get away from that and find community and camaraderie and enjoyment, is in acid music, techno music with the sounds of the 303. So yes, it speaks to the way systems at large, and here just sort of condensed down to a single system, system runs you like a machine, acid music has come to set you free. So yeah, it's, as I wrote in my review of this record on Discogs, the track is a bit less having it, it's a bit less wild than their Happy Birthday LSD tune, but it's similar in that it has a dark intensity to it, and in this case it's a bit more like subterranean, kind of underground, marching in resistance type of atmosphere. So let's give it a listen. This is Chris Liberator and Darc Marc, and the track is Acid Music Has Come to Set You Free, from a 2021 release on the mighty Stay Up Forever label. And in that regard, shout out to all three Liberators, but in particular, Chris and Aaron. Probably 45? machine noises, the idea that these systems are pressing your buttons, putting you into larger systems like a cog, not caring about your individuality, your personality. Well, if you shut that machine off and return to being a person in a fuller sense, acid music can help you do that. Layered acid work. For a DJ, this is great.
Acid music has come to set you free.
And then you kick into the new track fully. So yeah, it's a great piece of acid techno art, but it's also great for DJs, both in terms of the intro and the outro, which, you know, layering that vocal over an incoming track it just allows for a great transitional moment where, you know, the vibe of the track carries on into the next tune, so we're still thinking about acid music setting us free as we maybe hear a new acid line or a new acid bass line. So, yeah, I love this tune. It's, let's say, more repetitive than some acid techno tracks, but I think that's sort of the point. The idea that, like, this is a virus in these systems, you know, these systems of control and oppression and brutality, which happen on local scales, regional scales, national scales, and the international level, where whether it's, you know, oppressive political forces, brutal military actions, let's say revanchist or at least, you know, conservative social and cultural forces seek to hold everyone to live the way they do, to just be part of this world that we've inherited, which most of us wouldn't have chosen to begin with. I love how it's like this vocal that just comes back again and again and again. As I said, it's sort of like a virus that's seeping into these systems and into our brains, which can allow us to disconnect from this and to find other forms of association, community, and mental enrichment that is not, approved and part of this system of control. So I enjoy the conceptual repetition because it feels like it's very much what's happening here. And again, we have these machine sounds, which you can read as like us being machines, which like we are biological machines, but the way that we're being used, it's almost like it's stripping out the biology. And it's like, look, we just want you to, do this kind of job for 50 years, make money for this company, not get much like personal satisfaction or even remuneration out of it, and then just hurry and like, go to your 6-foot room in your pre-established graveyard plot because, that would be convenient for the powers that be. And so you can hear the machine sounds as maybe like people stuck in that mode, but there's also some machine sounds and beeps that sound like they're like a warning, or that like, there's a message that's gone up, like this particular individual is not conforming to what is expected of him. He seems to be going underground and marching in resistance against what's, established as the way everything goes, these systems of control. So it sounds like the system itself is aware that there's people, after hearing the acid sound, who are turning away from the system and trying to resist it. So, which again is very much part of the acid-techno ethos, and specifically the Stay Up Forever label and collective. So as I said, shout out to Chris as well as Aaron and all the folks who've been involved in the label going way back to the early 90s, right up on into the present, as they still put out, I would say, as much vinyl as ever. Given all the sub-labels that are now part of the Stay Up Forever collective, it seems like they put out more records now than they ever have. So shout out to the main label, shout out to the sub-labels, like Wah Wah and some of the labels that are run by the Stay Up Forever guys, as well as these other associated labels that are run by some people, in different countries, Spain, Ireland, and so on, but that are now like under the collective Stay Up Forever banner. So shout out to all the acid punks out there. Absolutely, acid music has come to set you free if only you'll give it a chance and give it a listen. I know there's a number of people through my channel who've come to know acid music and enjoy it, and consider the nuances of the scene, even if they don't have a long history of going to acid techno parties in the 90s and so on. And that brings me great joy, and I hope the people like Chris and Darc Marc and others who make these awesome tunes know that there are folks who are finding their music through these reactions and discussions in the comments that we have. So shout out to everyone is essentially what I'm saying. Let me know what you think of the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.